Janet Jackson, a name synonymous with musical brilliance, global superstardom, and cultural influence, has faced battles far beyond the spotlight. Her rise to fame, marked by chart-topping hits and iconic performances, masked a lifelong struggle with trauma, family pressure, and health challenges. While millions celebrated her achievements, few understood the personal cost of her success. From childhood experiences in the Jackson household to the harsh realities of Hollywood, Janet's life reveals the immense emotional burden that often accompanies fame. Her recent hospitalization following a sudden illness has brought renewed attention to her physical and mental health struggles. This story is not just about a celebrity. It is a portrait of resilience, the complex interplay between personal pain and public expectation, and a testament to the power of confronting trauma. Janet's journey underscores how early experiences can ripple across decades. A childhood defined by pressure and perfection. Janet Jackson was born on May 16, 1966, in Gary, Indiana, into a household where achievement was demanded and mistakes punished. As the youngest of 10 children, she grew up observing the relentless work ethic and discipline imposed by her father, Joe Jackson. The Jackson children were not merely raised, they were groomed for stardom under a strict system of rewards and punishments. Love was conditional, and failure was met with criticism or physical discipline. Her mother, Catherine, though gentle and caring, was often powerless to intervene against Joe's rigid methods. Janet learned early to stay invisible during moments of tension, understanding that survival meant suppressing emotions and avoiding conflict. While the public saw the glamour of the Jackson family's music career, behind the scenes, Janet witnessed fear, control, and competition, all of which left deep psychological imprints that would later influence her self-esteem and emotional health. Early industry pressures and body image struggles. By age 10, Janet entered the entertainment industry, landing a role on the sitcom Good Times. What should have been a joyful opportunity became another arena for scrutiny and criticism. Producers and directors often commented on her body in ways that suggested she was defective or insufficient. At such a formative age, Janet internalized the belief that her worth was directly tied to her appearance. Compounding this, her older brother Michael's teasing about her weight created emotional wounds that lingered for decades. Terms like pig and cow, though framed in jest, communicated a painful message. She was flawed. This early emphasis on perfection and image fueled the development of emotional eating habits. Food became both a source of comfort and guilt, a coping mechanism to manage stress, while simultaneously reinforcing negative self-perception. The combination of family and industry pressures instilled a deep-seated fear of inadequacy that would echo throughout her life. The psychological toll of sibling dynamics. The relationship between Janet and her siblings, particularly Michael, was complex. While she admired her brother and learned from his artistic talent, his teasing often cut deeply. The Jackson household was highly competitive, and siblings were both allies and rivals. Janet's identity was shaped in the context of comparison, where her achievements were measured against those of her brothers. The constant tension between love, admiration, and criticism created confusion and self-doubt. Emotional coping mechanisms, such as food and self-isolation, became habitual responses to the stress and anxiety induced by these dynamics. These early experiences taught Janet that affection was conditional, and her sense of security depended on performance rather than personal worth. Over time, this dynamic influenced not only her mental health, but also her approach to relationships, self-expression, and professional endeavors, creating a pattern that would manifest in her adult life and career choices. The Super Bowl incident and its aftermath. Janet's career reached a global pinnacle during the 2004 Super Bowl performance, but what should have been a moment of triumph instead became a source of shame and public scrutiny. The infamous wardrobe malfunction triggered intense criticism, media backlash, and what many describe as an industry-wide blacklisting. This event intensified feelings of isolation, inadequacy, and depression. Beyond the immediate embarrassment, it reinforced the notion that a single mistake could undo years of effort, feeding fears that had begun in childhood. For Janet, it was not merely a public controversy, it was a validation of lifelong anxieties about performance, acceptance, and worthiness. She found herself retreating emotionally, questioning her value, and struggling with depressive episodes. The event became a turning point, marking the intersection between personal trauma and public exposure, while also highlighting the vulnerability of performers in an industry that thrives on perfection. Grief and loss. Michael Jackson's death. The death of her brother Michael profoundly impacted Janet, plunging her into a period of intense grief and isolation. Their bond, marked by shared artistic experiences and playful camaraderie, had been a source of comfort and understanding. Michael's passing reopened old wounds, amplifying feelings of abandonment and inadequacy. Janet retreated from public life, avoiding media coverage and struggling with daily functioning. The grief was compounded by survivor guilt, as she reflected on the time lost with her brother and the unspoken words left between them. Her emotional turmoil intensified her depressive episodes and exacerbated pre-existing mental health challenges. Music, which had once been a form of joy and self-expression, became a tool to navigate complex emotions while simultaneously serving as a reminder of loss. This period underscored the lasting impact of childhood trauma and familial dynamics on mental resilience. Emotional eating and health consequences. Over the decades, Janet's coping mechanisms evolved into serious health concerns. Emotional eating, initially a childhood response to teasing and stress, became intertwined with physical health challenges. Coupled with the pressures of a demanding career, years of untreated depression and chronic stress contributed to a decline in her cardiovascular system. In 2024, at age 58, Janet received medical diagnoses revealing the cumulative toll of decades of stress, diet struggles, and relentless performance expectations. Diabetes, heart issues, and chronic stress-related complications forced her to confront the physical manifestations of long-term emotional trauma. This moment highlighted the inextricable connection between mental health, childhood experiences, and physical well-being. Janet's journey emphasizes the often overlooked reality that the pressures of fame and childhood trauma can create serious health crises later in life, underscoring the importance of early intervention and self-care. Rediscovering self-love and healing. Despite these challenges, Janet's story is also one of resilience and rediscovery. After decades of living under public scrutiny and internalized perfectionism, she began the difficult process of learning to love herself. Therapy, self-reflection, and confronting painful memories became essential tools in her journey toward emotional and physical health. Janet's path illustrates that healing is rarely linear, but requires confronting past trauma, acknowledging emotional wounds, and actively working to break destructive patterns. By prioritizing self-care, authentic expression, and personal well-being over external validation, she is reclaiming control over her life. Her message to fans is clear. Even those who appear invincible face struggles, but it is possible to choose healing over destructive cycles, self-compassion over societal pressures, and personal fulfillment over perfection. Legacy beyond performance. Janet Jackson's legacy extends beyond music and entertainment. It is also a story of survival, courage, and authenticity. Her life reflects the intersection of childhood trauma, family expectations, industry pressures, and personal resilience. Despite years of pain, public scrutiny, and health challenges, Janet continues to inspire through her work, advocacy, and personal example. Her journey challenges the myth of celebrity invulnerability and provides insight into the human cost of fame. Janet's willingness to confront her struggles publicly serves as a reminder that success is not synonymous with happiness and that mental and physical health require ongoing attention. By sharing her experiences, she encourages others to address their own trauma, prioritize well-being, and recognize the importance of self-love and healing. Conclusion: a message of hope. Janet Jackson's story is ultimately one of survival and empowerment. From a childhood steeped in strict discipline and emotional scrutiny, to a career marked by fame, controversy, and personal loss, she has endured challenges that few could imagine. Her recent health crisis underscores the long-term impact of trauma, stress, and neglect, but it also marks a turning point in her journey towards self-care and authenticity. Janet's example reminds us that vulnerability is not weakness, that confronting past pain can lead to growth, and that healing is always possible, regardless of age or circumstance. She continues to inspire, not only through her music, but through her courage to confront the shadows of her past, demonstrating that even amidst struggle, resilience, hope, and self-love can prevail.